Tonight, this is episode 45, Youthology Live. Again, thank you for joining us. And we are dealing with this rising influence epidemic of bullying. So lately, I've been having some discussions with a couple of students who are going through this and a youth leader who had called me and said, listen, I don't know what to do. This is out of control. My student started as a bully a year ago, and now he's being bullied. And so anyway, we've been working through that, and I thought, man, we have got to tackle this topic. So that's what we're doing tonight, and I want to begin by reading some statistics for you. Okay, these are the latest statistics that we have, and I think you're going to enjoy them because they're new. Okay, this is not old stuff. All right, and I'm taking them from what is called the Hechinger Report. Okay, if you are interested, you can follow up with them. They are a research forum for educational school systems, for parachurch organizations. They do a ton of research for these organizations. So you'll be able to follow along after the podcast is all done. I'll post this at the end, and you'll see the information on the Hechinger Report. Okay, the Hechinger Report. It's a great follow. I follow them. I read some of their articles every week. Okay, and so I'm taking them from there, and I think you'll see the importance of this. And it begins. Listen to the stats. There are many statistics on this growing issue of bullying. Let me give you one research that was based across 37 states. Okay, 37 states. Almost 200,000 middle school and high school students. Okay, that's significant. That's a large database. 37 states, almost 200,000 middle school and high school students. And this is what they found. Okay, amongst them, this research company found this: that after analyzing our insights about bullying from our survey responses, it taught us two simple things. Number one, we've learned that most bullying still happens in person and not just online. And we know that bullying online is there. We'll deal with that also. But significantly, it's not hiding. Bullying is not hiding itself online behind computers. It's still happening in the school systems. Okay. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, we found the top reasons, and they listed three. There were many. There were 7 or 8. But they listed 3 of the top that came, they were actually the first 2 were very close in percentage of students giving this, the reasons for bullying. But we're going to give you 3, and this week we'll blog on those and really break these down too. Get into the solutions. We'll get into some of the solutions tonight, but we're going to really break it down this week, okay? So here's the second thing they found. So the first thing they found was that it's not just an online issue. Second, the reasons, and here's what they are. The top 3 reasons: appearance. Okay, my appearance was different, or somebody said something about what I was wearing, or my haircut, or I'm too tall, or I'm too short, or I'm too thin, or I'm too heavy. All of those. So appearance, that was number 1. Secondly, race or skin color. Race or skin color. Interesting, right? I don't think that surprises any of us, but we're gonna dig into that a little bit here. And then number 3, reason that students were bullied was because the students thought that I was gay, acted gay. Okay, so these are the top 3 reasons why middle school and high school students are bullied. Okay, in this survey of 200,000 students across 37 states. So let's break these down, because overall we know that some of the stats say 1 in 4, 2 in 6 students are bullied. So this is a significant issue. I know you could look at it and say, man, it's only a quarter, so 3/4 are not. You could, but if you're part of the quarter, then it's a little more serious, isn't it? So I want to give you, looking at those problems, I want to, in statistics, I want to give you solutions. Because sometimes we will identify the problem, but we really don't get practical and deal with the solutions. And that's what this podcast is all about. So let me give you these, and if you want, you can follow along. This week you can pull out the manuscript that will be posted of this too, and you can see more of this. Maybe even thread on our social media and talk through some of this stuff too, because this is an issue that's going to dig deep into the student setting also. I know leaders, you need help with this, but so anyway, I'm going to give you 5 solutions to these reasons why students are bullied. Number 1, tribes. Okay, and I can only spend about a minute or 2 on these live. So number 1 is tribes. We used to call them cliques, right? Cliques. I really believe that they can be a good thing. You heard me right. That cliques, let's rename them tribes, can be a good thing. Because what has to happen within the tribal relationship, right, to build a tribal relationship that's healthy, is there has to be this give and take in the circle of types and kinds. In other words, if you have one tribe that is a certain type or kind, they have to be open to allowing others into that tribe and into that kind, because tribes and kinds will reach their type. And I'll get to that in a minute, okay? And you'll see where this is all going with bullying, okay? So number 1, we have to value tribes and create healthy tribes in our organizations, all right? Second, to sustain healthy tribes, we have to create doors in and out of the tribes, and interrelational tribal leaders. So when you have a key student who's a leader in one tribe, we want to hook them up and get them to understand and know the key tribal leader in another tribe. Because what that does is it hits the power, the chief, the power struggle in the group. And if you can win the chief of every tribe, then it's easier to open up the groups to other people. Okay? You'll see where I'm going as I finish this. Because one of the things that happens is when these cliques, old school cliques, become closed, that's when we have this tension. But if we can get tribal leaders of each clique to get along and to open these up and let them become more interrelated, that's when the tribes can build a culture of healing in the youth ministry. All right? So, number 3 way to solve this issue of bullying is that tribes become an avenue of outreach in the youth ministry. Now, we'll get to honor and acceptance and all that. We're going to get to that. Because you're thinking, man, okay, well, how does evangelism or outreach solve the bullying problem? Let me tell you what happens when tribes become avenues for new students in the youth group. See, what happens is we get new people with new ideas. And it's not the same people running the youth ministry. Like, I love watching kids get saved and come into the youth group, because what happens is the students who are there get challenged by this new zeal and this new passion and this new gift and this new student who happens to be cooler than them, right? And or maybe this student comes in who's a great drummer, and they get saved, and the drummer that maybe is, you've been working on spiritual maturity, is all of a sudden challenged by this new student who gives their heart to Christ. And here they come into the youth group to take their spot, right? What a greater way to bring health and unity, the opposite of the jealousy and competition. What a great way to bring health and unity into the youth group, because it's going to shake up the present students when students are starting to follow these avenues, these tribes, into the youth ministry. All right, and that kind of evangelism and outreach will grow the youth ministry, culture, okay? Number 4, in fighting against bullying is ownership, student ownership. We have to have, we just can't have adults running around trying to solve the problem. We have to have students who run the youth ministry, our student leadership teams. We've talked about that many times. But the more you develop student leadership teams, then that peer culture, okay, that peer culture takes over and students correct themselves. And it's not just big bad adults running around say, hey, don't do that and lay off and get along and whatever. But when the peers are ministering to each other, man, that is so powerful. There is nothing more corrective. Hear me. There is nothing more corrective in a youth ministry than peer influence and peer leadership. So that will help with the bullying. Number 5, the way to stop bullying is culture. You got to build a culture. A little advertisement there. You got to hear me. The culture of the youth ministry has to be acceptance and honor and forgiveness and value and reparation, because prejudice comes in these bullying relationships. This prejudice comes in, and if it takes over, it can only be stopped through this kind of acceptance. Let me read this to you. In this discussion of bullying, respect for and acceptance of students, back to that number 4, the ownership, the healthy competition and production and all that. When you look at culture stopping bullying, it is critical that students respect each other and honor each other and expect and accept each other, because student correction is the highest form of correction toward bullying in a youth ministry or a school or an organization. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. There's so many other ways that we could go with that. You'll see, I'm going to break each of those down. They'll be posted by Tuesday on the website, youthology.com. You'll be able to watch this also at YouTube. We'll get the, we'll post-product this a little bit and get some graphics on there with these stats and other things. And then you'll be able to listen to this on iTunes, and as we break this down, you'll be able to thread along with this and talk with us on this and start a conversation. And please add into the conversation on this. Share it with a student. Some of these important issues that we hit today so quickly just need discussion, need you to take this to your youth leadership team about these 5 areas. How can we use these 5 areas? Let me go over them one more time. Number 1, building the tribes that have value and codes. Number 2, sustaining good tribes creates open doors and shared leadership amongst the tribal leaders, so that all of the groups and all of the tribes in the youth ministry get along. And your drivers, your chief and your captains of those tribes drive that culture. Number 3, they have to become avenues of new students coming in, because new students change the culture in a youth ministry. Number 4, the ownership and the competition and the production, the growth comes from student leadership. Okay, student leadership teams. And then number 5, the culture, the student culture corrects, okay, student culture corrects the behavior, the bullying itself, okay? So, man, I hope this is helpful. I'll break this down more so that it's much more practical, but please thread and post on this at all of our social media sites. And thank you again for joining us.